Okay, so I wanted to make another podcast. I'm still driving from work, so it's the same same time, I guess, when I was recording the ending about the weed thing or about drugs, I guess in general. But still, what I wanted to talk about is because I went to my friend Julian's birthday little shindig, a little get together. It wasn't like a full blown party, but a little get together. And he has completely separate type of friends than I do. His friends are more kind of part of the cool crowd. And I guess is relevant to the weed thing, I guess. But completely separate crowds. Not really people I would personally hang out. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just it's not my vibe. I kind of hang more with, I guess, what I would say there is, I guess. Because maybe it's because of the whole insecurity type thing, or maybe it's easier to be myself or feel like I could be myself and not have to stress out when I'm around other losers, I guess, or other people who don't really care as much about how people are around them. Whoa. One card sliding like a baby. I swear this time is the worst time to try. Like that kind of 2 to 5 range is the worst time to drive. You see the worst drivers. Drivers about to drive off the road. But the reason I wanted to talk about the little shindig or whatever was because how Julian has different friends from mine or whatever. But a lot of them are from the same school. Maybe a year under because Julian is a year under me. So maybe they were a year under, or maybe 2 years under, or whatever. So a lot of them are from his job, but some of them were from his what do you call it? From school, high school. And the thing I found interesting, and this happens a lot, at least for me, is that people will recognize me from high school. They're like, this, I Jabari, I remember you, or like they'll remember my face or something. Where I won't remember them. And I think my facial memory is pretty good. Like it's not like the best in the world probably, but well, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. So I don't recall hanging out with them or anything, or like talking to them for an extended period of time. But they remember me. And I just find it ironic because back in, and it happens all the time. Like it happens all the time, regardless of the friend group or if I meet a new person, well, who I would have thought was a new person, and they'll remember me or they'll recall stuff. And even friends I have, like say you'll notice with Beyonce, they'll recall stuff that I did in the past. And it's like a nostalgic thing of how I used to act or the things I did or like certain moments. And to me, it wasn't as special, or it wasn't as worthy of remembrance because some of the times I barely remember, or I just don't like. And to me, I've changed a lot since those days. Like probably, I'm still like the same person I was, but I'm not as energetic. I'm not as I don't think I'm as uncaring. Like I'm uncaring in a different way, but I'm not as I'm just gonna do something crazy just to do something crazy, and I don't care. So it's like a little awkward sometimes, where people, talk about stuff nostalgically, about stuff that happened in the past, or how I was, or whatever. Because to me, it almost feels like a whole different person. I almost feel like I'm going to disappoint them because to me, I feel like I'm so different and I've changed so much, and I'm not as memorable maybe as much anymore. But then that same feeling happened in the past. I felt that way in college. I felt that way in high school. I felt that way in middle school sometimes. Where I felt like I changed or I don't do as much as stuff. But people still recall stuff that, I would do. And they would remember it in a favorable light. And the other thing that I find ironic about it is that while I was in these events, or I was living that kind of life or whatever, I felt like everyone hated me. I felt like no one, everyone was annoyed by the things I did, or they didn't like that I didn't I was just being me kind of thing. And I don't mean that in a, like, like a rapper or celebrity way, like, oh, yeah, just be you. No, like, I don't think I would like, not understand, but I don't think I would notice that the things I'm doing are very weird or very, like, not cool, because I was constantly trying to be a little, like, not be cool, but like make people less annoyed by me, because it felt like throughout all of, like, even from the start, from first grade all the way to now, I'm constantly annoying people. I'm constantly causing issues. Like, with the podcast, you can already hear how many stories or how many things, seem to happen toward me. And I'll never really understand why. I don't know if it's like a luck thing. Like, I'm just bad. I'm just unlucky. I just have bad luck, and I never really get good luck. I don't know if it's just a personality thing. Like, I am just, I'm causing all this issue for because of, like, the things I do. And I'm so conceited or so, like, in my head that I don't even realize the things I'm doing make people mad or make people do, like, things towards me or whatever. So, like, throughout all this time, I'm thinking people, naturally hate me or naturally are annoyed by me. So I'll modify my persona and try to, like, appease people. Like, like, throughout, I think it started like 8th grade and up. I wouldn't talk as much, or I felt like I wouldn't talk as much. Like, I used to be a super talker, like, even more than, like, podcasting. I was a super talker, and people were annoyed by that. Say I talk too much, or I'm annoying, whatever. So I would try to stop talking as much, or I try to, like, do like things. Even with the anime cringe, I would, like, like, say in college, I stopped watching anime because I saw it as a cringe kind of thing. Blah 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 blah. So I'm slightly trying to appease people or, like, make them less annoyed by me. But somehow it ends up, like, years later or whatever, people reveal that they feel nostalgic about my presence or whatever. Or, like, oh man, I remember when you used to do this and that and that. And, like, how they, like, people get lost in nostalgia and feel good about, like, remembering me and all this, and, like, having, like, certain memories of. Wait a minute, I have to get past this part. I'm truck. It's sped up, and then he slowed down because the car is slower than him, and then he's, like, kind of speeding back and forth on his lane because maybe he's impatient or whatever. So I don't want to, like, cut in front of me and cause a car crash. See, I may make podcasts about that too. So I'm becoming a strategic driver now. Like, I have to predict how other people might react because I don't want to get in a car crash. But that's also the thing. Like, that's also the reason why I have so many, like, thoughts about, like, human nature and stuff. Because I would try to predict people. Because I try to predict, like, what is making them annoyed by me. What, like, because no one ever explained why do people not like me? Why are people annoyed? What did I do that was wrong? So I would constantly go in my head about, like, trying to figure people's minds out. Like, it's not to the level where I'm like, well, maybe I need to become a psychologist. No, I didn't care that much, because I only care specifically about me. Like, why do people dislike me? Why do, like, certain things, like, my videos not go viral? Why is it that, like, I'm not the one becoming famous or whatever. So it's weird to me, again, that, like, years later, it turns out, oh man, people really liked how I acted. Oh, they still remember this stuff. Oh man, they're nostalgic. Oh, they're happy to see me or stuff. Or even, like, with videos. Like, my YouTube channel was dead. It still is. It's a dead channel. Like, I only make it because I want to make video. I like the process of making video. And, I would never get views. I'd never get comments, nothing. But then, like, say now, 10 years later or whatever, how many, like, a decade later, for, like, certain videos, people will comment. It'll be like, oh man, I remember this. Oh man, this is so nostalgic. Oh, I love video. Oh man, I can't believe I'm seeing it again. Da 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 da. Where I'm like, where were these comments when I thought this was a waste of time? Like, I thought that I was, like, just, I was never going to, like, no one really liked the videos I was making. Oh, I thought this was cringe. Oh, I thought, like, all these certain thoughts. No one was there when I was in the moment. Or if they were there, they were just silently watching. Rather that's in high school or on YouTube, just silently watching. And then they only get the confidence to talk about it nostalgically, after I don't care anymore. Or after I, like, I made my amends about, like, the situation. And I find it kind of crazy Because it's like, if those people would have said something similar, or even just slightly hinted these type of things earlier, certain things, certain like personality tropes or certain insecurities probably would have never happened because apparently these insecurities were there for no reason. Like, I could have acted exactly how I did, and people would quote hate me, but then actually like, oh man, they really enjoy my presence or whatever. Like, it's almost similar to like one of those cartoon characters where like say Cartman or something, or Bart, where these certain characters are supposed to be bad. They're supposed to be annoying or whatever, whatever. And in the universe, everyone's annoyed by them. But then if you took them out of that show, it wouldn't be the same. Like, say The Simpsons, I would argue, like, I still like The Simpsons, don't get me wrong. But once they stopped doing Bart episodes, the show changed. The show completely changed. And I think that's what people miss, is that Bart dynamic. I even noticed it in modern episodes. They don't do Bart episodes as much. They rarely do it, actually. I don't know if it's because of money. Like, maybe the voice actor, it costs too much per word. So they're just like, we're just not going to have you talk as much. But Lisa is less money per word, so we're going to make a lot of Lisa episodes. So it's just interesting to me that, you know, it feels like everywhere I go, people are apparently annoyed by me. But then it comes out that, oh man, we have, you were such a character. Oh, we enjoyed your, we still talk about the things you did, this. So, like, I don't know, it reminds me of, like, funeral type stuff, like, where everyone gathers around and says how how they impacted their life and how they appreciated them and blah, 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 blah. But it's only after they're dead that they can say these words. Or like an artist, where an artist can work so hard to try to basically gain the respect of the community or get, like, be paid for this artwork and all this. And they're only appreciated after they die. After they die, suddenly people can say, like, oh man, yeah, he was one of the greatest artists of all time. This. I don't really understand why. I don't know if it's like a envy type of thing. Like, when someone who is like a character of that nature, like either, an artist, like a good artist, or a popular person, or whatever, or someone who just has a unique personality, when they are like in the moment around these people, it's kind of a competition now because you're taking away attention and eyes from them. Like, they in school, how everyone cares about their crushes, gaze, or like the laughter of their friends or whatever, whatever. If someone you don't like is doing that, like, you catch your crush looking at this person. Or like, you used to be the class clown and now this other person's taking the attention away. You hate them. You mock them. You try to make it seem like, that you're having a terrible time with their presence there. But once they're gone, now there's no like envy, there's no competition. You don't feel threatened by their presence. So now you can further appreciate, like, how I feel, or like, how they were. You're like, oh man, yeah, you were such a funny dude. Oh, you were this, you were that. And I don't know, like, say with YouTube, I don't know if it's like, because it's not popular at first, no one's gonna say anything. No one cares. Even if your viewers, they're not gonna comment because they're the first comment now. But then when someone breaches the dam, now they can go, oh man, yeah, I used to watch you all the time as a kid. I used to watch it 2 times the road, blah blah blah. It's the same with anime. Like, when I was watching anime, no one talked about anime. It was a cringe thing to even mention you watch anime. Even something like Naruto was cringe. How there were those people who went like they thing with it and like would do the Naruto run. I never did the Naruto run, but they were the cringe people. So I would keep it to myself. I would still talk about it, but I was like not talk about it so excitedly, unless it was someone who already admitted that they watched or took the anime talking well. But then all of a sudden, like, when suddenly anime's cool, like maybe just a person who was worthy of note talked about anime. And now it's on Netflix. Now you know, people are more likely to talk about it openly. So now suddenly, oh, anime's cool. Oh, you don't watch anime? Huh? Oh, yeah, I love Japan. where like it was just a short time ago. Where the people who used to watch it remember the comments, remember the interaction. So that's how I feel also with like Mike Bells kind of thing, where I'm like it's not like this was 44 decades ago or whatever. Like I still remember how it felt. Where it felt like I was like alone constantly. I didn't have that many friends. Like even with Deontay, it's not like I went to his house all the time, or the only person who I would hang out with, the only people was Nick, Brian, and Kurt. Everyone else, I either wasn't in class with them, or I didn't talk to them much, or whatever. So it's just, I don't know. It's a frustrating feeling, knowing that like apparently people just act as they act, and like your how you were has no impact on it. Like they were just going to hate or like you regardless. Like now I know that, but I wish I knew that then, that like this stuff doesn't really matter at all, and people are just weird. Like I knew people were weird, but I don't know. I think it's especially annoying because I truly thought only a couple people liked me. Like I knew I was infamous. I would always say infamous because it felt like only reason people knew me was because I was annoying. But then it turns out people like truly enjoyed me acting weird. So I don't know. And I wonder if it's even the same with like in Hong Kong and stuff. Like how many people are still like still remember certain things or certain like things I said, or still reference me, or still like mention me in conversation casually. I don't know. Cause it's the same with like say even say with the Purina person. Like will it be like 5 years later where they're like, oh yeah, I used to be friends with this one guy. They talk about it all nostalgically, but then it's like when the friendship ended, it was because you said that you didn't enjoy talking with me, or like having like having to talk about my issues or whatever. So why all of a sudden now it's nostalgic? Like I don't get nostalgic from stuff that like if I didn't like someone, I didn't like them. I'm not gonna suddenly be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, do you remember this guy? Man, I remember him. I wish I could talk to him again. Or like if I saw him and again, I would be polite, but it's not like I'm gonna be their best friend. So I'm like, are these people just straight up lying, or is everyone just a douchebag? And I don't know. But I'm at work now, so I have to leave.